Have you ever felt too small, too scared, or just not good enough to do something big? Well, let me tell you a story about a guy named Gideon who felt exactly the same way, but ended up leading one of the most incredible victories in history. It all starts in a really tough time for the Israelites. For 7 long years, whenever they planted crops, these bullies called the Midianites would swoop in like a giant swarm of locusts and steal everything. Their camels and livestock were countless, and they devoured the land. The Israelites were so terrified, they left their homes and hid in mountain caves and strongholds. They were starving, desperate, and they cried out to God for help. This is where we meet our hero, Gideon. But when we first see him, he's not exactly looking like a hero. He's secretly threshing wheat at the bottom of a wine press. A wine press? Why? To hide from the Midianites. Got it? Just trying to save a little bit of food for his family. He felt weak and insignificant. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appears to him and says, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon must have looked around, thinking, "Who? Me? Mighty warrior? You've got the wrong guy. I'm hiding in a hole, terrified. If God is with us, why is all this bad stuff happening? Where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about?" He was full of doubt and questions, just like we sometimes are. But the angel wasn't mistaken. God had chosen Gideon for a special mission to save Israel from the Midianites. God told him, "Go in the strength you have. I will be with you." Gideon, still not convinced, asked for a sign. He prepared a meal, and the angel touched it with his staff. Whoosh! Fire flared up from the rock and consumed the offering. Okay, that was pretty convincing. But Gideon's fear was deep. He still needed more reassurance. So he came up with a test. He said, "God, if you're really going to save Israel through me, I'm going to put this wool fleece on the threshing floor. In the morning, if the fleece is wet with dew, but the ground all around it is dry, then I'll know." And what do you know? The next morning, it was exactly as he asked. He wrung out a whole bowl full of water from the fleece. You'd think that would be enough, right? Nope. Gideon, being extra cautious, said, "Okay, God, don't be angry, but let's try this just one more time, but the other way around. This time, let the fleece be dry and the ground all around it be wet with dew." And God, in his incredible patience, did it again. The next morning, the fleece was completely dry, while the ground was covered in dew. Gideon finally understood God was with him. It was time to act. So Gideon blew a trumpet and sent messengers throughout the land, calling for an army. And the men of Israel responded. A woohee force of 32,000 soldiers gathered, ready to fight. It looked like they finally had a chance against the massive Midianite army. But then, God said something completely unexpected. "You have too many men." Too many. They were already outnumbered, God explained. "I don't want Israel to boast and say, 'My own strength has saved me.'" God wanted to make it crystal clear that this victory would be his and his alone. So God gave Gideon an instruction. "Announce to the army, anyone who is afraid and trembling may turn back. 10 God side there are still too many men." He told Gideon to take the men down to the water to drink. God gave him a very specific, very strange test. He said, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues like a dog from those who kneel down to drink." Most of the men knelt down, cupping the water in their hands, but a small group, just 300 men, lapped the water directly from the stream, staying alert. God said, "With the 300 men who lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands, 300 men, against an army of 135,000. The odds were impossible. It made no sense from a human perspective. But Gideon had learned to trust God's crazy plan. God then equipped this tiny army with the strangest weapons you've ever heard of for a battle. No swords, no shields, no spears. Instead, each man was given a trumpet, an empty clay jar, and a torch to put inside the jar. Imagine getting ready for the biggest fight of your life, and your commander hands you a musical instrument and a piece of pottery. It must have felt absurd. That night, Gideon divided his 300 men into 3 groups, and they crept down to the edge of the massive Midianite camp. The enemy was spread out in the valley like a blanket, their camels as numerous as sand on the seashore. The plan was simple, yet brilliant. On Gideon's signal, all 300 men surrounding the camp would do 3 things at the same time: blow their trumpets, smash their clay jars, and hold up their torches, shouting, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." The moment came. The silence of the night was shattered by the blast of 300 trumpets and the crash of 300 jars. Suddenly, the darkness was pierced by 300 blazing torches from every direction. The sleeping Midianite army woke up in absolute chaos and terror. They were surrounded by light and sound, thinking they were being attacked by a massive, endless army. In their panic and confusion, they started shouting, running, and even fighting each other. They turned their swords on their own comrades, completely routing their own army without Gideon's men even lifting a finger to fight. The Midianites fled in terror, and the Israelites chased them down. The victory was total and complete. A scared farmer hiding in a winepress, with just 300 men armed with pots and trumpets, had defeated an unconquerable army. But, of course, it wasn't really Gideon or the 300 who won the battle. It was God. He used a tiny, weak, and frightened group to achieve something huge, so that no one could ever doubt where the power truly came from. So what does this story mean for us today? It's a powerful reminder that God doesn't need our strength, our numbers, or our talent to do amazing things. He often chooses the small, the weak, and the unlikely things of this world to show His great power. When you feel scared, when you feel like you're not enough, remember Gideon. God called him a mighty warrior even when he felt like a coward. He can use your weakness and turn it into strength. All He asks is for us to trust His plan, even when it seems crazy, and to have the courage to take that first step, holding whatever torch and trumpet He has given us. He can take our small acts of faith and turn them into incredible victories. Thanks for watching. If this story encouraged you, give it a like and subscribe for more. Sleep well knowing that no matter how small you feel, you are in the hands of a very big God. Good night.